Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. So it's Sunday. It's Sunday, February 6th, to bring to you my girl, Lesley Nunn. She's going to tell you about what she does. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. And tonight I am plugging you in to mindfulness, to becoming everything that you can to break through where you are to get to where you're supposed to be. Hey, Lesley, how are you?
Hey, Linda. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. And I also want to say thank you so much to you because before I introduce myself and a little bit more about my company that I founded, I just wanted to share that with anybody listening, you gave me one piece of advice in my very first conversation with you. And as soon as I implemented exactly what you told me to do, I got immediate
Ah,
results. So I want to thank you for your advice. You definitely are the business plug.
well, thank you. Thank you. I really enjoy helping business owners become unstuck and think about their businesses in a different way. So I'm glad that worked for you. Yay.
Yeah, and it actually is so related to how my mindset has evolved from just being a young adult in high school. I felt like I was a writer at heart, and I never really knew what I was going to end up writing about, but that was always kind of my focus. And
Hmm.
so it's been funny just having that as a part of who I am. I'm really comfortable with putting my words down on paper. But when it comes to speaking and delivering, your advice really helped me with how to even better communicate, like I said, because sometimes being a writer, I can overcomplicate things a little bit, and it's been a really beautiful experience trying to just simplify the message, because honestly, one of the reasons that I've been able to work with people in managing their anxiety is the first rule is to simplify things. So just seeing how the advice that I've given to clients, I can even more apply to my own life and my own
Absolutely.
way of operating. It's just a beautiful thing. It makes me feel like, everything that I'm doing with others can also be something that I can practice what I preach on in an even deeper way. So every time I work with somebody, it just helps me see how I can do that even more. And so for me, overthinking and overcomplicating has been a really big factor for me in feeling frustrated and having a lot of anxiety trying to create my own business. And I definitely did not start off in holistic health, but I did grow up with two parents that were both practicing medical doctors. And so I was constantly around the whole medical world.
Yeah.
And I was always hearing about problems and different ways they were solving those problems in their own practices. And it just felt so incomplete to me. And I really didn't have the language to articulate that as a younger child. I just remembered feeling like this can't be the whole approach to health. But I was
Mm.
younger, so I really didn't have any health issues other than growing up, I felt like I was overweight. And so, as I was trying to find my way through figuring out my major in a university, trying to figure out where my passion kind of fit into an existing degree without losing my authenticity, it was just that feeling of something didn't feel all the way complete. And so it was just trial and error, trying to manage anxiety, managing overwhelm. A lot of times, the anxiety in itself would keep me just disoriented, until I finally got invited by my mother to a Hay House conference in Denver in
Mm.
2013. So this was during a time where I was really frustrated with trying to pursue an academic career and to find a degree that really fit me. I just felt like I was never going to fit into any box. It was so frustrating. I was leaning towards a psychology degree, and I went to this Hay House conference, and it tapped me back into, after a decade of being disconnected with any thoughts of being a writer, it really redirected me to where I am now. So I
Absolutely.
started with being inspired of some way to just help people through my story of just trying to find my way and really staying authentic.
Mm-hmm.
and just really following my authentic passion and trying to figure out how it wasn't going to have to fit into a box. That conference opened my eyes to just the possibilities. You know, I saw so many other adults that were following their dreams without making too much of a sacrifice, and what that looked like, and what being a writer, like a real writer, a
Mm.
real publisher, a real content creator look like. And so I started off realizing that I actually had a book idea that could be turned into a really effective course. And so I ended up doing work as a massage therapist. I was practicing massage therapy, and I was just obsessed with learning how our body can heal itself, all
Absolutely.
of the things that we holistically have built into our bodies. And I won't get all sciencey on you, I
No, no,
promise.
no, no, that's fine. But that brings me to I had an opportunity to go back and look at how several of the systems were set up back in the 1920s, right? And one thing I learned was the lesson of Rockefeller and Carnegie, how they began what now is big pharma. You know, how it
Mm-hmm.
all started, where
Mm-hmm.
before we were using holistic medicines and homeopathy and the things that naturally healed us, and
Mm-hmm.
then how we as America have changed our direction and are now more treatment based than cure.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing a functional medicine doctor myself. This is something that, had I known about in 2003 when I graduated high school, I very well may have went into becoming a functional medicine doctor. And I love that that wasn't where my path took me, because I've been able to connect with so many other functional medicine doctors that I absolutely love what they're doing. And I am not even sure that would feel complete enough for
Mm.
me, because it's a component for sure. But, finding your authentic self is really what I'm most passionate about in my core. As a really young child, I had divorced parents, and the households that I went back and forth to equally were very polar opposite. And so I learned really quickly between that and managing school, which at times was really challenging for me to keep my energy positive. It was the going around to each individual environment and having to maintain a
Mm.
positive outlook and just happiness, and having to be able to find ways to do that in all these different environments really gave me some skills that I still use today, to observe and to try not to assume, and other things that I teach in my program. But it's really honestly been a lifelong process for me creating this company, because just, as you mentioned, in big pharma, I had an opportunity before I went to that Hay House conference. I was helping manage, especially on the HR side, not so much the medical, but an oncology practice in Cleveland. And so I was in charge of managing the chemotherapy drug orders. And so the
Mhm.
nurses would give me the orders, and then I would just basically, confirm the transaction. But it was really heartbreaking. So not only was this oncology practice headed for bankruptcy because of the way the insurance companies were all of a sudden decreasing the amount that they were reimbursing the practice
Mhm.
for,
Mhm.
they were raising the prices that it was costing the patient. And so it caused this situation for this oncology practice and oncology practices all over the country to be forced to join into a corporate structure. It
Mm.
really phased out the single solo practitioner
Right.
chemotherapy practice that the one I was at had been in business for over 20 years. And
Mm.
so not being able to write off people with insurances that didn't cover their medicine and still administer that medicine, and then seeing the patient's costs go up and seeing the profit go down, it really quickly turned a lot of offices upside down and
I
forced
can
them
imagine.
into joining with corporate. So it's just also seeing that insight
So
of a lot of the political problems within our
right.
system.
So when you talk about what you do, right? So if someone's listening and they are interested, in connecting with you, what does that look like? What does your ideal person who you have helped to have breakthroughs and to live a great life because they've used your process in order to get better, in order to get better physically and in order to get better mentally? So, what does that look like?
So the perfect person that I look for is somebody that is actively looking to make positive changes in their life. They've already known that there's something that they need to course correct towards,
Mm-hmm.
and they're actively pursuing that. It's a little bit different than somebody that's first starting out wanting to learn, how do you make positive changes, where do you start. So I take the people that have already started, and they feel like they're going so hard that they're starting to burn out.
Yeah.
And if you were to think about if this is you or not, you can think about whether you're using what we call at the Collective Compass fear fuel.
Mm.
So when you first get motivated to make any positive change, as I have multiple times in all different areas of life, you normally are dealing with a pain point that's causing you to see the problem and then wanting to make change to overcome it. So really you're running off of adrenaline, your body is revving up cortisol, stress hormones. It's a stressful adjustment usually.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can find your way and you're stumbling through. But for the people that I work with, I want them to not wait until they're on the verge of burnout. A lot of people usually wait until they have been hit so hard by the physical impact of stress, like brain fog, even just feeling sick all the time regularly. Just there could be some constant pain points, especially unmanageable anxiety. If
Mm-hmm.
you have unmanageable anxiety and you're trying to maneuver through new life changes, then you have no clarity and no focus.
Yeah.
And that is going to lead to mental fatigue. So you're actually not really able to tap into that positive energy that creates consistent positive change. I want to be able to help the person that is trying to build a lifetime legacy, or to really build their authentic life, take their authentic life back. And they have a vision of what that looks like, and they're actively making change and working their way towards it. But once you start making changes, you can find areas where you can learn how to manage your anxiety better, and you can learn how to beat mental fatigue. It's really just a formula. It's a mind body formula that you can learn, and it teaches you how to keep your energy balanced and positive so you're not actually creating a health crisis. I've
Right.
seen so many people build amazing companies. Ariana Huffington, Lisa Bilyeu. I follow a couple different platforms, and there's just so many celebrities that they interview talking about health crises that were created while they built their companies, while they built their $1 million, corporations that do so
Absolutely.
much good in the world. If you can't keep the stress damage from accumulating on your physical and mental self while you're making all these positive changes, you might find yourself in a situation where you can't even get to your goal because of the health crises that you're causing in the process is going to take over your focus.
Absolutely, because you run into where people are. You talk about mental fatigue, right? And it's important, especially entrepreneurs, because we burn the camel at both ends. We
Mhm.
have our regular lives we're trying to do. We have these businesses we're trying to build. We're trying to build networks. We're trying to do all this work, and we're not taking care of our physical and mental health. And so those are risky behaviors that can get us into a problem very fast if we are not practicing whole body wellness.
Yes. And let me also say this. I think that it's hard to encourage people to become preventative in their mindset and approach to
Mhm.
life, because we normally don't pay attention to some pain point until it's
Mhm.
causing so much pain that we're forced to
That we
focus
can't,
on it,
right, that
right?
we can't ignore it.
And
Like,
if you're trying to secure your financial freedom and build a legacy, you will actually be willing to ignore more pain and
Yeah,
suffering than the average person. And you
absolutely.
may not even feel it. It's not that you even intentionally avoid it. You just aren't even consciously aware of it.
It's not
I, as a
aware.
massage therapist,
Right. When
will
you're looking
tell
at your
you.
when you're looking at your priorities of how things measure up, it is not in the list of your priorities at the
At
top.
all.
You're going through all these different, rungs of things according to what you feel is important. But it's kind of like on the airplane when they tell you before you can serve your baby, you need to serve yourself. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't do that. We don't serve
Right.
ourselves. We're busy taking care of the world and
And the
everybody else.
beautiful thing for me is that I really felt called to have my children earlier in life.
Hmm.
And I love my mom's relationship with me. It's amazing. But she was 35 when she had me. And I just feel like, when I was younger, I was so excited to have kids when I was younger. And luckily, I was blessed to be able to have the opportunity to do that. And so it's been interesting too, because my whole goal on the family side of life was to be able to be there, to be present, to be active with my kids, physically active, taking them to be able to hike or go in the ocean
Yeah,
or bike or just any kind of activity. And then I also wanted to have the mental energy to still be connected to them in the best
absolutely.
way possible. And so they have at many times been my encouragement, my source of encouragement to really take my health seriously, because even though I was able to have them young and we can be active, and I feel like I for the most part was blessed to get my health in order in a lot of ways, it still is such a challenge. The older they get, the worse it can be on your mental fatigue.
Sure. They said they go off of your knees to on your off of your feet to on your heart, right?
Right.
So as we wrap up here, what one thing would you like to tell someone who's out there searching, who's actively trying to find solutions to their despair, or that place they feel like something's wrong and they just can't put their finger on it? What would you like to tell them?
I would love to share the course that I have right now that's open enrollment. This
Great.
course I do offer a couple of times a year, but I keep the course very small in size so that we can really take the time to address individual concerns and situations. And I want to be able to have the type of attention to really be able to support anyone that enrolls in the course. This is a 4-week course. It's called Live Now,
Hmm.
LYV, Live Your Vision Now.
Hmm.
Because if you were to enroll in this course this month, you will probably be able to create a decade's worth of change before this year is over
I
with.
love it. I love
If
it.
you waited till the summer session, it might be till the next summer. I mean, it depends on really you as an individual, but I do know that so the biohacks that I teach in this course, for anyone that's unfamiliar with the term biohack, this is a very deep and efficient way to shift your mind into a positive state. It is such a efficient way to try to adjust to change, because we simplify and we really go deep with the method. And I think that simplifying and strategizing and empowering are really at the roots of being able to overcome any unmanageable anxiety and mental fatigue. And when you learn how to also have a holistic health foundation under what you're doing, you really can create such positive energy, and you're going to compound the momentum that you have because you're not slowing down to address
Mm,
as many pain points. You're
yeah.
really going to be able to not only adjust to the positive change itself and everything feeling new and everything feeling raw and just you feeling so vulnerable and exposed, you're going to be able to learn self awareness and perspective tools and skills that ground yourself so that you can manage the anxiety, create clarity, and learn how to tap into positive energy. So,
I
I would
love it.
really suggest that if anyone is looking to learn how to get their business going or get their life really course corrected back on track, to just go ahead and enroll in the 4-week course.
Okay. And thank you. I know you having another appointment that you have to get to. So let me dismiss you. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. And I've just plugged you in on how you can get past the mental fatigue that you encounter either as a professional or as an entrepreneur. I'm here every Sunday at 7 ish, I have to say, at 7 o'clock ish Eastern time to bring you new ideas, to bring you new concepts, and to introduce you to things that will make you better as an entrepreneur and as a business professional. You guys, I'll see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And until then, have a great week. This is the business plug. I just plugged you in.